What's up everyone, it's Adam from Life of Adam. Today I'm back with a brand new lifeguarding video. In today's video, I'm gonna be walking through how to save a passive victim. Now, when you see a passive victim as a lifeguard, this is a lot more rare than an active victim because A, this person has been underwater for an extended period of time. B, there's a cardiac or there's a respiratory emergency, or C, it may have evolved from a head and neck injury. So you do not want to be in this situation, but this video is going to help you and guarantee you that you are good on the job and you handle everything perfectly as a lifeguard. Now, before I dive into this, if you guys are new to the channel, I make a bunch of lifeguarding tip videos about how to pass the course, how to pass the pre-test, basically everything you need to know. So definitely consider subscribing and liking the video if you're new to the channel. Now, like an active video, which is my previous video that I made, which I highly recommend you check out, I'll link down below in the description. The first thing you need to do is you need to recognize the situation. Now, when you recognize the situation and you realize this victim is passive, you need to activate the emergency action plan because 911 needs to be called. If someone's at the surface flapping their arms and they're struggling and you save them, you bring them to the shallow end, bring them to the wall, and then you're fine, you don't need to involve 911. However, if they're not moving and they're motionless and they're face down in the water, you need to activate the EAP immediately. Now, what a passive victim looks like, I kind of mentioned this a second ago. It's gonna be motionless. It could be face up, but mainly it's gonna be face down because gravity is gonna pull the shoulders and the chest forward on a victim. So it's gonna be face down, and it could even be submerged. Now, the most important thing when it comes to passive victims is time. You don't know how long they've been in that position. You don't know how long they've been submerged. So as soon as you see a passive victim, the clock's ticking, you have to go, and you gotta remove and extract the victim properly from the water and provide care. So that kind of enters number 2, which is going to be the enter and the approach. You need to get from A to B immediately. So make sure there's no one below you. Make sure your rescue tube's ready to go. You use the right entry depending on the depth of the water. Now, if you're in the very shallow end, you're going to do a slide in approach. If you're in like a medium to deep water, you can choose between a stride or a compact jump. Whatever it is, your job is to get to the victim as fast as possible while obviously being cool, calm, and composed. Sights are on the victim, and make sure you're not running into anyone, bumping into people, putting other people at risk when you jump in. The name of the game is like 30 seconds underwater is a lot when it comes to saving someone's life. So just make sure you go, go, go. So that's 1 and 2. Number 3 is you have to perform the rescue. Now, if this passive victim is at the surface, you can use the active rear rescue for like what you would do with an active victim. So if I'm passive and I'm at the surface, you can kind of go up to them as if they're an active victim, hook their arms, and kind of bring them to safety like this. And when you bring them to safety, I'll explain that in a second, because you can't just like pull them out of the water. But you can use that technique if they're at the surface. If they are face down, then they'll teach you this. You can grab the wrist and kind of twirl them, or you can go underneath, hook them. Whatever it is, that technique, basically what it's doing, it's taking them from being face down, so they're not breathing because they're underwater, and flipping them so they're face up, so they are breathing. So that technique is like the passive drowning technique, mainly in shallow water, which is also relatively close to the surface. And if the victim is submerged, so obviously you can't like hook their arms if they're at the bottom of the pool, then you need to do a deep water rescue, which is a surface dive to go down to the victim. Once you're down at the victim, you want to grab kind of around their chest and use the rope and pull you and the victim up and tuck the rescue tube underneath. Now that's step 3. Step 4 is the most crucial, in my opinion, in this whole process of saving a passive victim. And that is the removal and the care. When a victim is passive, especially if they're a bigger victim, you can't just like pick them up like an infant or a child and lay them on the side of the pool in a recovered position. You're gonna have to use a technique. In the lifeguarding course, you practice a 2-person removal, which basically is there's a backboard between the victim's back and the side of the water, and you both grab the victim's arms, and on 3, when you're both out of the water, you pull straight out, and the victim's flat on the backboard on the side of the pool. It's a very good technique, and it's quick, so I highly recommend in the lifeguarding course, you pay attention to that. Now, the key to this 2-person removal, it's all about balance. You do not want to tip the victim over. You do not want them to slide off of the backboard when you try to remove them from the water. So make sure that you're doing it on the same page with the other lifeguard and you're counting to 3 and you're pulling in a straight line because you do not want the victim to fall back in the water. Since you activated the EAP, that's one of the first things that you do. Basically, all of the care that you're going to provide is the bridge till EMS arrives. So if they are breathing, what you want to do is you want to put them in a recovery position. So basically that is them laying on their side so that the water kind of gets out of their mouth and gravity is kind of helping them clear their airway. And that's a very safe technique. And you basically leave the victim there, monitor, obviously their breathing, stay close to them, provide all the care that you need. Let's say there's like first aid and they have some cuts and bruises. You make sure that's all taped up and ready to go so that EMS can just move them along. If they're not breathing, you have to do rescue breathing. So that's your responsibility. This is first aid, this is CPR, this is the whole portion of the lifeguarding course, and it's part of your responsibilities as a lifeguard. And if they don't have a pulse, you have to be doing CPR. You're gonna have to be using the AED if necessary. And then once EMS arrives, they will take over. So those are the kind of the core requirements, but you also have to document all the information that you know about this instance, their name, what happened, when you saw them, where on the pool did you notice them. It's kind of a bigger deal as like an active victim where they're just there and you help them out of the water. It's treated a lot more seriously, so you have to get all the information that you can, document it, and follow your facility guidelines. It's different per pool, different per lake, whatever type of requirements that is required for your job. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Comment down below if you have any questions, like and subscribe if you want some more lifeguard content like this, and to also show your support to the channel. And I'll see you all in the next one. Thanks so much. Peace out.